There was a time when the sun going down meant something different than it means to you. Not a change in lighting, a change in species. The moment darkness fell, your ancestors stopped being the smartest thing in the world and became something else. Something hunted, something small, something listening in the black for the sound of teeth. And here is the part that should unsettle you. That fear never left. It's still inside you right now, sitting quietly beneath your ribs, waiting for the lights to go out. Tonight, we're going to ask a question that sounds simple but isn't. How did early humans survive the night? Not the war, not the famine, not the predator in the daylight. The night itself. 12 hours of pure vulnerability, repeated every single day, for hundreds of thousands of years. And what we find waiting at the bottom of that question is not just history. It's you. Go back far enough, and there is no electricity, no walls, no locked doors. Just a small band of primates crouched together in the dark, without claws, without fangs, without night vision, in a world crawling with animals that could see, smell, and hunt far better than they could. By every law of nature, we shouldn't have made it. And yet, here you are. So what actually kept them alive? The obvious answer is fire. And yes, fire mattered. But here's what's strange. Fire didn't just protect the body. It rewired the mind. Anthropologists studying early hearths have found something the average person never considers. Fire created the first social hour in human history. During the day, early humans were working, foraging, surviving in silence and urgency. But at night, gathered around flame, something new happened. They talked, not about tasks, about stories, about fears, about each other. Some researchers believe this nightly ritual, this shared vulnerability lit by fire, is where human language, myth, and even morality began to take shape. Which means the campfire wasn't just protection from predators. It may have been the birthplace of meaning itself. But fire alone doesn't explain the deeper mystery. Because fire only worked if someone stayed awake to feed it. And that single requirement changed the architecture of the human mind forever. Sleep researchers have proposed something called the sentinel hypothesis, the idea that early humans didn't sleep the way we assume, not 8 peaceful hours in unison. Instead, sleep was staggered, fragmented. Someone was always slightly awake, slightly alert, listening. And this is where everything changes. Because that pattern didn't disappear when civilization began. It's still written into your biology. It's why the average adult still wakes multiple times a night without remembering it. It's why the slightest unfamiliar sound can pull you instantly out of deep sleep. Your body isn't malfunctioning. Your body is still guarding a fire that went out 10,000 years ago. Think about that for a moment. Every time you jolt awake at 3 a.m. for no reason, some ancient circuit inside your brain is completing a shift that began before written language existed. You're not anxious. You're ancestral. But the terrifying part isn't the biology. It's the psychology underneath it. Because darkness didn't just threaten the body, it dismantled the mind's greatest tool. Vision. Humans are visual animals above almost anything else. Nearly a third of the brain is devoted to processing sight. And the moment that sense disappears, the brain doesn't go quiet. It panics quietly instead. Neuroscientists have found that in low light, the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes hyperactive, while the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for calm, rational judgment, becomes less reliable. In other words, darkness doesn't just limit what you see. It temporarily makes you a worse thinker and a more frightened one. This is why children fear the dark before they can even explain why. This is why isolated silence at 2 a.m. feels heavier than isolated silence at 2 p.m., even though nothing physically changed except light. Your ancestors didn't fear darkness because they were irrational. They feared it because, for nearly all of human history, darkness genuinely meant danger. The fear wasn't a flaw. It was evidence. evidence that you descend from the ones who were afraid enough to survive. And here's where the story turns philosophical. Because if fear kept the species alive, then the humans who felt nothing at night, the ones who wandered off unafraid, who slept too deeply, who ignored the sounds in the brush, quietly disappeared from the gene pool. Generation after generation. Not through some dramatic extinction event, just through silence. Just through absence. Which means the anxious ones, the ones who couldn't fully relax, who stayed alert a little longer, who woke at the smallest sound, were the ones whose bloodline continued. You are not descended from the calmest humans who ever lived. You are descended from the ones who couldn't stop worrying. And that thought should sit uncomfortably with you, because it reframes something you've probably judged in yourself. That racing mind at night, that inability to fully switch off. That quiet dread when the house goes silent. It isn't weakness. It's inheritance. But then something even stranger happened. Once humans discovered light that didn't require constant tending, first oil lamps, then gas, then electricity. For the first time in the entire span of human existence, night stopped meaning danger. And yet, the fear didn't update. Because evolution doesn't move at the speed of invention. It moves at the speed of generations. Which means you are walking around today with a nervous system built for a world that hasn't existed in over 100 years, flinching at shadows that no longer hide anything, bracing for predators that no longer exist, still standing guard over a threat that vanished long before your grandparents were born. In a strange way, that makes every quiet, sleepless night a kind of haunting. Not by ghosts, by ancestors, by instincts that refuse to believe the danger is gone, because for nearly the entire story of our species, it never was. So maybe the real question was never how ancient humans survived the night. Maybe the real question is, what part of them never stopped surviving it? Inside you. Right now. In the dark. In the quiet. In the part of your mind that still listens for something moving just beyond the firelight. The night ended for the world a long time ago. It's possible it never truly ended for us.